So measured start here in the first round. And both fighters rangy. And as I said, having missed weight by 2 kilograms, Gisca has an advantage. But he's got to be able to deliver that in terms of payload. Our referee, Mr. Marko Cintic. Big overhand right as an opening gamut right away from Brnada. Up on the wire here, powering his man up. And right away, Brnada under a bit of pressure from Gisca.
He's got really, really good defensive grappling. You're seeing that here in the clinch, in this chest-to-chest position. He's really trying to find some space with his left arm and try to establish a bit of a frame. Now the fight there, of course, is with the head pressure of the opposition and the fight for the underhook from Gisca. Nice.
Lovely takedown. Sweeps his man, takes him out. And pressure game begins on the ground here, and this looks very solid. Thumbs up that he's in good shape, but this looks like a very, very tricky position to be in.
Very tricky. We've seen it before. He's hit this. It's a buggy choke, Will. It'll be the second time he's been able to hit it in his career.
Of course, rarely seen and pulled off in MMA. We saw it at KSW when
Kaziechko. Yeah, he went for about 3 rounds, actually. It was pretty wild. Maciej Kaziechko. Wojtek Kaziechko, sorry, his brother.
So he's had to release it in that side control position. Meanwhile, Brnada having to fight off his back, having to give it up there. And Gisca ready to take advantage.
Yeah, nice scramble here. Again, we're seeing good use of the cage. He has excellent maneuvers in and off the fence, and it was nice to see him actually work and defend and then actually go into a second attempt here.
So Brnada did well to get back up, but down he goes again. And Nicolae Gisca really working those trips. That outside sweep delivered beautifully. And this time now, Gisca's turn to have to work off the wire. And can Brnada deliver anything meaningful here? Yep, the battle of the underhooks is on. And that knee strike, well, eventually will be meaningful if he keeps on delivering it from that position with that level of power. So the dance continues.
That was a very heavy, heavy, heavy elbow right up the middle. Brnada's just doing a great job here of trying to defend in this clinch position, but Gisca is threatening and breaking and punching.
And it looks like he's in a spot of trouble, Brnada, taking too many shots. Weathered the storm, but look, double leg takedown. Succeeds, and it was a rough and ready old attempt there from Gisca, but he manages to do the job. Has he fallen foul here in this position? What can Brnada do from here, sitting up against the wire?
And this was one of the big questions about this fight. Could somebody really put the initiative forward with the grappling? And again, the key is to stay off your back, right? And we're seeing some good cage work from both fighters, but I think the double threat, the Gisca attack above and below the waist, and then also the punches and the elbows in and out of the clinch have been really tricky to deal with.
Just over a minute left in this first round, and a lot of work going on. A lot of heavy, heavy hits, and as I say, that extra weight advantage that Gisca has, that will come into play here, but he's being held, he's being controlled. He's never going to work that from that position. Tried to get the guillotine on, couldn't do it. Has to settle for closing the guard. Working off his back now, Brnada. What can he do that will be meaningful coming up to half a minute left in this first round, almost on the bell?
Yeah, he's kind of had to concede this position. It's the first time we've seen a successful sequence off the fence and then having to go to guard. He's doing a good job of breaking the posture here. I think it's just a case of running the clock at this juncture. His corner's no doubt going to expect to get him back to the stool, give him a good talking to about what to do to avoid these scenarios.
Clock's against them. There's a 10-second. Nothing meaningful. So, for the first time, Frano Brnada in terms of advantage. If we were looking at scores, I'd say that Brnada had taken a lot of heat in that first round, but I don't know if it's been converted to points.
I think it has. I'm giving Gisca 10-9 there in the first frame. It was always going to be a case of two wrestle boxers, but two very different wrestle boxers if you want to look at it that way. They both have heavy hands. They both have good grappling. But Gisca's been able to, I think, assert his dominance again in similar fashion if we see a repeat of the first.
Well, it's a relaxed pace till it's not. They're both looking for opportunities, hunting for work. Will they get an advantage? Starts to open up now. And we're seeing Frano Brnada let loose with the kickboxing. He's had a rough ride in that first round. You can see that it wasn't an easy opener, but he's read the room, looking to keep distance, looking to keep space, and stop Gisca from closing in, shooting and taking him down. Both times from the wire, Gisca ended up in the horizontal position, and it didn't serve him during the course of the round. So he's looking to keep it upright, and as you said, Chris, doesn't want to be on his back at all, does he?
No, and his corner will have known what worked in that last round perfect, right? Wait, freeze, be a little bit patient, make him think it's a striking exchange, and then just run him to the fence, right? The most important thing is take him down off the fence. We saw it in the first frame. It's the very same blueprint again. "100%er counter here, nice. Brnada doing a really good job of getting that lock underneath the left armpit of Gisca. Front headlock counter here. Gotta be very, very careful. It's good. He looks like he has a little bit of bite underneath the neck, but you just don't want to commit to it irrevocably.
Looks like there is quite some leverage there. Definitely that forearm is under the chin. It doesn't look as if it's going to be released very soon, and he's got crank on it, twisting it now. Frano Brnada with an opportunity here with that headlock on. Hasn't quite got the guillotine, but Nicolae Gisca is being held there, isn't he?
Yeah, he could have gone high elbow or he could have gone high wrist. Two slightly different attacks there. Nice to see Gisca do a good job, though, of kind of just being patient, right? The last thing you want to do is rush, and that can get you tapped in those sequences. It was nice. Can he counter with a double? Probably tricky given his hands aren't together here. This is the scramble right now.
So desperately trying for the takedown on the rope. We saw a lovely Kosotogaki sweeping the outside, taking his man down, but he's using that weight to leverage. And Frano Brnada on the wire, putting in strikes, but I don't know how effective they're going to be. He looks a real toughster, doesn't he? Nicolae Gisca looks as if he can take some shots, but in that position, you don't want to go to the well too many times.
This is good, though. What Brnada is doing is he's giving a little bit more for Gisca to think about. Those elbows, fighting the grips, when he wants to go low, pummeling, right? He went 50-50 here. You can see how he got that right underhook and then was able to flip him around against the fence. These are really, really tough positions, and it can look to the layman like nothing's really happening here, but there's so many little micro battles, so it's great to see the ref let this play out. This is part of clinch fighting right here.
So Brnada from Bosnia and Herzegovina. He's the fan favourite here. Hasn't been in the ring for a year. Is there any ring rust showing? We won't know. It doesn't look like it immediately, but he's prepared well. Brnada, ATT Zagreb. So he'll be putting in some work there. But these two are really slugging it out in every which way possible. In the stand-up, on the wire, and actually on the ground. But it's not gone to the mat in this second round. Under half a minute left. And again, we're coming up to the 10-second. And if anything, it looks as if Nicolae Gisca breathing a bit heavily. I mean, they've both expended a lot of energy. As you said, Chris, very difficult positions to maintain, but they are very tired coming up to the end of this round. We're on the 10-second, and, well, we're coming up to the final bell of the second round. And Gisca trying. Frano Brnada takes on Nicolae Gisca. Brnada fighting red, Gisca fighting blue, and middleweight is the weight category. We've had 2 rounds of heavy slogging, heavy grappling. This is the decider, all to play for. We think it's all tied up. Going into this last round is the decider, and that makes it a bit of a tense and nail-biting situation, because both of these fighters know that this final surge, this final effort in this third and final round is going to be the decider. It's all won and lost on a sixpence.
Brnada knows it too. His corner would have said, look, that second round was a lot closer. You need to go out there and be decisive. You definitely lost the first. Nice bounce here from Brnada. I'd like to see him keep playing with the timing. It's all good stuff. Anything to make Gisca second guess about that big level change or the rush to the fence.
Using those stand-up skills to good effect, Brnada. I said he was stiff. He wasn't a very good mover. He's loosened up in this third and final. He's still very linear. I mean, he's right in front of his target. There's no lateral movement there at all. I mean, nothing to be sort of unpredictable about in the performance, but at least he's on his toes. At least he's moving in and out, bobbing and weaving, and looking for the opportunity to attack. But Gisca keeping well out of range. He got tagged there, and he's very, very sluggish in his work. Gisca, Brnada may be able to pull a rabbit.
He's got to pick his punches. Right, when you're this tired, you really need to look in there and think, and sometimes be patient. Sometimes a little bit less can be more.
So they're really headhunting here, looking for one shot, one way that will deliver something. We know that Gisca's got that one-shot KO power, but he takes a right hand there, and that was a big mistake. Sloppy work from Frano. Brnada threw up the high kick, went sailing over the head of Gisca, and now on the wire, and this is Gisca's office.
This is exactly what he needed to do. Brnada knew it was going to be a real close fight, especially after that first round. When you're undefeated, right, you go into these fights and you necessarily have that confidence on one hand, but also on the other hand, you don't really know what it's like to be losing a fight in this place. He's close right now. He's got to make this count.
So we're back to very familiar territory, and the amount of energy expended to keep that kind of pressure on. Nicolae Gisca looked gassed going out of the second, looked gassed coming into the third, looks gassed now, and Frano Brnada, not exactly lemon fresh here, but he's got more of a sharp look about him, particularly in the stand-up. Nice left hand, catches his opponent. Brnada full of confidence, shooting from the hip, hands down low. Needs to have a guard though, because one-shot stoppage power from Gisca could turn it all around. A lot of space between these two. They're not engaging. Big hands though, and this time Gisca gets a right.
You can see how Brnada is so keen to just kind of squat his stance a little bit, keep the hands low so he can fight if he needs to on the takedown defense.
Very strategic, every move. No wasted energy, they can't afford to. They're on fumes here. Gas tank solo. And they're just building up a little bit of resource as the clock ticks on. But we've got, unbelievably, just over a minute left in this third and final round. I mean, it's going quickly given that we're not seeing a lot of engagement or action. So, both fighters putting stock in one shot to make a difference here. That's always a tricky old gamble, to just bet a number on a roulette wheel. And the crowd are saying, you've got to bring the heat, you've got to bring the action. But if you keep sending a message down to the levers and they don't respond because there's no energy, it's an attempt at an elbow strike. And we're under half a minute left in this third and final round. We're not seeing spectacular or stellar work from either of these two, because it was grinding and atrocious through the first and the second. So it's understandable, but we're on the 10-second clapper. It was everything to play for here, and I think the judges are going to have a tough night in this opening preliminary bout.
I agree. I think Brnada's done enough in this round, though.
Red corner, Frano Brnada.